Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. Once again, it's time for another review on this podcast of ours. This week, we're going to be looking at a little horror sequel coming out in just the right time of the year. And of course, it's another video game adaptation. I use the term loosely, as we'll find out. Of course, this week it's Silent Hill Revelation. 3D, although I did not see the 3D showing. I want that known, just so in case you're wondering how the 3D effects are, I have no clue. I decided to save myself that extra $3, I think was what they charge around here. So, yeah, I could get a soda for that price. Anyway, before I get into this film, I suppose I should talk about what I thought of the first Silent Hill film, and actually, before that, I should even mention my experience with the games. After all, this is an adaptation of them, supposedly. Even though I like survival horror film games, I never really got into the Silent Hill franchise. Most experience I've had with is the original Silent Hill. I'm aware of the plot and everything else concerning the rest of the series somewhat. Like, I know the broad strokes. I know pretty much everyone and their mother has done a video or have talked about Silent Hill 2. It's considered one of the best horror games ever. I haven't played it, but I know enough about the plot. I know enough of what other people, just from going to being on different movie forums and such. Have heard enough of the complaints and people talk about Silent Hill enough that I know the broad strokes. So I can pick up in some elements where things are just plain wrong, which leads into the first Silent Hill film, which I actually say, as someone who really had no experience with Silent Hill prior to that movie. I mean, I knew of the series, of the franchise, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a very good atmosphere. It had a different take. I mean, I knew it was an adaptation of the game. I knew, even back then, I knew the broad strokes of the game. So I was really impressed with it, very happy. I thought it really made a good, had a really good cinematography, had a decent effects, um, brought a new type of almost love. I don't want to use the term Lovecraftian horror, but it had a different style of horror than most places. The idea that you get drawn into this other nightmare world was very appealing. Worked very well. It had some problems with the plot. I think towards the end you didn't feel the fear as much. But despite that, had a few iconic scenes. I mean, that sneaking past the nurse's scene was a little tension-filled. Um, of course, the scene where Pyramid Head there rips the skin off a girl and just chucks it onto the church. I think that's classic horror movie scene, because that seems to be like one of the things everyone talks about. It's like, Jesus Christ, that was nasty, and it worked really well. You could say it's symbolic, all that stuff, but it was memorable, at least, to see some girl's skin is torn straight off and is chucked at a door. But now we come to Silent Hill Revelation. First off, their top title problem right there. I mean, Revelation is among those terms that it's just stuck on. It has no meaning, and in this case, they try to attach meaning. I mean, there's some more attempt, at least with Revelation being a subtitle, is it has something to do. It's supposed to reveal to the girl, in this case, what she is. But it's not like she's a character that we've gone through like 5, 6 movies without knowing anything. Like the big revelation, oh, she's part Alessa. If you've seen the first movie, you know that. Like, that was what they revealed in the revelation was Silent Hill 1. Yeah, the character, and she has got so many names. I'm not sure which one to use her. It's Heather, Sharon, Alessa. She's Sharon from the first one, but throughout the movie, she's now has a new identity. She's using Heather, but ultimately, both Heather, Sharon, whatever she is the good innocent part of the demon child Alessa. And they explain this in the first one. In fact, that's kind of like the revelation, or what you find out through the course of the first Silent Hill, is that the daughter is in fact this good portion of this tortured soul. So the fact that the big reveal in this one was that Alessa uh, is Heather slash Sharon. What? We knew that. And they come on and teasing that, and maybe, that's just with the subtitle. If you just called this Silent Hill 2, I would have still criticized him for going, oh, really, you're making this a big reveal? Like, why would you have this hidden? It's something the audience already knows. It's causing a drag out of the plot for stuff that I don't understand. Who am I? Who am I? Normally, when you have that in a movie or film or even a video game, the audience should be asking that question too. Not so here. In this case, the audience is trying to shout her the answer in the screen. You're Sharon from the first movie. You're the part demon child. There we go. There's the explanation. We know it, but she does it, and it's not like they don't do any sort of tension building. Like, you can, I guess I retract a little bit what I just said. There are ways to make that very tension filled, to try to build some sort of horror of somebody not knowing who they are. They're trying to find out, and we, the audience, knows who they are. But you can bring that forth by making the character very, very unaware. And then we have, with our knowledge, she comes across characters and other things. Like she would be completely oblivious to the cult, but we know. And so we're kind of wondering, does the cult know who she is? Or that's not in this movie. None of that stuff. None of that having a character who, oh wait, we know that's her father, that's her mother. She's talking with him. Is the reveal gonna be found out? Is what's gonna happen now? Oh wait, did they? No. Like, there's stuff like that. There's scenes like that you can kind of work into a film when you're playing that. It's hard to do, which is why I don't see, they could have saved themselves a lot of time by just avoiding that whole she knows who she is. She knows she's not supposed to go back to Silent Hill because the demons will get her. Like, that would have saved them so much time. And in fact, at first you think that she knows, like, all this stuff, that her father's kept her well informed, but as it progresses, she doesn't, and it starts to dragging out the plot. And that is actually the biggest problem with this movie, is that Silent Hill Revelations doesn't go to Silent Hill until about halfway through the movie. And then when you get there, it's rushed. It's rushed. You have to get all the Silent Hill stuff done. Now, I guess they try to justify this since she's getting projections from Silent Hill. She's having these delusions. She's starting to see images. She's seeing monsters and stuff in I think she's in Philadelphia. I think that's where the city she's supposed to be in, just because I see Pennsylvania plates. But it seems like they're breaking the rules. I mean, even with that stuff, which is trying, a lot of times it doesn't hold any tension for us because we're aware that this is like a hallucination she's having. She's having another horrible vision. So you're kind of sitting there going, yeah, whatever. Get through with the hallucination. If she was actually in Silent Hill, there's some sort of tension there. That we know now that she's the main characters are in actual danger. But you fool us once with that, and we know she just has these weird hallucinations. It doesn't work anymore, and also it breaks the rules. Now, one of the things that director Michael Bassett had said is he's going to make this more for the gamers, fans of the game. Well, one of the things I know from of the games is that Silent Hill, it has some ability to project a little bit, but not like the way it's doing in this movie. It's kind of really focused on Silent Hill itself, the town. So the ideal that, because at one scene there is an actual creature that comes out and it kills somebody in the real world. That's not in Silent Hill. That they're in, again, Philadelphia, at a gallery. For those of you that aren't aware, it's a chain of malls. But so you're going to go in there, kind of breaking the rules of Silent Hill, messing with the lore, And of course, I mean, they do try to answer that. Well, why don't they just grab her and take her? They have to say she's got to come back by her own free will. Why? I think it's a very valid question to ask. Why? That's just a rule. Okay, so they spend all this time on Heather. Well, let's call her Heather. That's what she's done through most of the movie. Heather's kind of interactions in school. She's dealing with these hallucinations. They threw in the pointless scene where she's at school, and she's got the scene where the teachers. They do the stereotypical. Oh, we have a new student here today. Uh, it's Heather. Tell us about it. She. Out of nowhere, they have the one friggin' student that is has to give the really mean, smart-ass remark. Hey, you get all your stuff from the Goodwill? And of course, the teacher just sits there. Oh, real life, at least with most schools, most places I've worked at, a student said that it's like principal's office. Have fun. Not. And then of course she just lets Heather also go on like a 5-minute rant about her tough life, and normally at that point somebody would intervene and say, "Stop, hold on." But I do like to add one little thing there. Because they also introduced the other male lead in here right after her. I mean, he's also a new student. He's like, how am I supposed to follow that? Because there's scenes, a lot of scenes in movies like that, and you kind of always wonder, what if they just, well, like, what happens right after they make that speech? Like, how do you pick up from there? But at the same time, like, later on, you're kind of questioning that, because the character is Vincent, and as it turns out, he is a member of the Order that was born and raised in Silent Hill, which I guess explains and answers the question of, if people are constantly getting killed in Silent Hill, how are that Order was surviving? Apparently, they can still have kids. I guess they just have a really high mortality rate. I kind of always just thought they were just killed and they were constantly tortured or something like that. Like they couldn't really die. But where should I go? Yeah, Vincent is from Silent Hill. He's born there. Is like he kind of just you figure he should be portrayed as being more of a weirdo. Like in the first Silent Hill 2, they thought the apocalypse happened, and the entire this is like probably the biggest what the fuck thing going on is that the Order is apparently still around, even though it was seemingly wiped out in the first movie. The big church, that was where everyone was hiding, and once Alessa got in there, she killed everyone. She shoved barbed wire at people's vaginas. And now apparently there's another secondary sanctuary that some members of the Order are in. And at first I was thinking, when they first introduced this, they introduced another character who we get no character about her. Like we got the ideal in the first movie about the cult leader, her whole spiel. I'm trying to remember what her name was in this one, and then the last one, Isabella. Yeah, I think it was Isabella. She had character, she had development. You could see how her megalomania worked, how her religious fanaticism worked. She was a fully fleshed out character. In this one, the main villain's 2 scenes, maybe, of her talking, we get no idea that she says that she is she's Isabella's sister. Okay, so are you supposed to implant everything that was about Isabella onto you, or are you a demon? Because that also comes up later on. Or why weren't you at the sanctuary? Okay, maybe I can buy that there's a secondary backup sanctuary, and a smaller group of the cultists were there. But then it turns out there's an entire army of these cultists. Like they try to explain like the gas mask guys. They're saying, well, they're the most fanatical. They're called the Brethren. They're the most fanatical. They believe breathing the darkness hair is corruption. That's supposed to be a belief. And then later on, she actually rips. Actually, not later on. Almost the same scene. She rips off a mask, and the guy starts coughing up black stuff like it's actually hurting him. When in the first movie we saw the gas mask guys, they were just kind of members of the cult. And I could still buy the Brethren. they're given the task, they might have this belief that they can't breathe the nasty air, but still, like, we see people out in the darkness and it doesn't immediately kill them, including cult members before, including Vincent. Spends a lot of time in the darkness, so why would it actually hurt them? It can be a belief. And at first, when I thought they were going to rip off his mask, he would just start freaking out that he was doing it, kind of, using his belief against him. But no. No, that's not what they do. What else? I know I'm digressing here, but they could have just had it one of two things. This would have fixed this part. One, you would have made it genuinely that there's only like 5 or 6 of the cult members left, and you would have actually bought okay, they are genuinely on the edge. Okay, a couple of people happen to just not be in the church. They had their secondary location. Okay, but it's shown there's like well over 100. There's almost as many cult members here as previously. So you're not buying it. What would have probably been better, and if you wanted to fix something from the game, is working with Dahlia, which you probably could have done because she's in this movie and she's played by the same actress. Because in the first game, Dahlia's kind of the ultimate villain. She was the one abusing her child, all that stuff. And you could have maybe had it function and it found out that, in reality, Dahlia was not as innocent in this whole spiel as she made it out to be, which in the game she was an evil bitch. She was really a horrible person who kind of knew that all the stuff they were doing was to birth like a dark god. So you could have really worked with that, and the revelation that would have been a lot better is that, for maybe it was Dahlia kind of subtly pulling the strings, purposely making her isolated. Maybe she was the one that was really whispering in Isabella's ear, like, if you need to push my daughter, isolate her, accuse her of being a witch, making her feel isolated. Having that be the big reveal, just so she could get her god born again, and she would be the chosen mother of the god type deal. I would have been like, oh, okay, that would have been a better for a revelation. Oh, because then you're actually manipulating the events of the first movie, which that is, I should have talked about this when I talked about the first movie. One of the reasons I really don't like the first movie, even though I said it was good, this is an outside the movie thing, is the basic message of the movie and why it was in there. The director of the original Silent Hill changed the plot from being in the first game it's a father trying to chase his daughter. The director changed it because he couldn't, from a father to a mother, which if he just he had an interesting to say about motherhood, that would have been okay. Stupid for changing that, but okay. But he changed it from a father to a mother because he believed that fathers would not be that loyal to their children. They wouldn't put the effort in, which is just disgusting. And they do rectify that to a degree here. You see Sean Bean's character, Harry, is pretty much given up his entire life for the safety and security of his daughter, his adopted daughter, nonetheless, that he knows is adopted. So it works a lot better, and you can see he's genuinely concerned. And I like that part in the movie. I like that they fixed that, but that is one of the reasons I kind of get a little annoyed with the first Silent Hill, is because I see these changes and I know they put these in there with the whole motherhood thing just because, like, the guy does, I guess he had father issues or something. But it gets annoying. It's offensive even as a male, as I'm sure if somebody said that about females, it would be offensive to females. So it would have been nice if just to rub salt or rub a lemon into that director's wound and to manipulate the whole mother thing by showing the mother was way worse. The mother was the ultimate villain. In fact, it's almost like in the games it seems to be the opposite philosophy, is they normally show the mothers are not as good with the children as the fathers are normally more in a genuine better interest. But that's reading very subtle and kind of drawing lines to where you're trying to put meaning to where there was no intended meaning if you're doing that. And I'm over talking about that part because Well, because there really isn't much to talk about what happens, because there's a lot of build up to going to Silent Hill. We have a lot of hallucination scenes that don't have anything to the plot. You really could have started this off with Heather and Harry moving to this new city. You don't have to make any mention that they're. You don't have to make a move. Okay, maybe to make a move to set up with the Vincent character a bit. And that's after the first scene. She meets Vincent. She comes home. Harry's been abducted. Gotta go save him. And this Vincent guy is kind of jogging along. You could have had a quick. There was like one scene in a motel you could have done. Maybe one scene of them driving down or something like that. You could have cut out probably a good 15 minutes of everything else like they had to do to explain how they're in hiding and all that crap. And it would have worked a lot better. And then you could have spent more time in Silent Hill, making her find stuff within Silent Hill, introduce the characters within Silent Hill, getting more idea of the cult, what things have changed since then. Would have really helped improving that time with spending it on two characters. The first one was like a really, oh my god, that guy's you're Malcolm McDowell's in this movie. There is that scene, and I had to have where Vincent says there's this crazy uncle that it goes on about all this crazy stuff, and he happens to have a seal that is important in order to escape from Silent Hill, or the world of Silent Hill. And of course, they get to the asylum where he's kept, and lo and behold, it's Malcolm McDowell. He's only in the one scene though. It's kind of fun to see him in there. And Malcolm McDowell, though, I shouldn't be too surprised. He is one of those actors who will just randomly show up in a movie and you're not expecting. Like the same thing happened in Book of Eli. You're sitting there and all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's ending. Bets is wrapping up. Wait a minute, I recognize that voice. It's Malcolm McDowell. I think the guy must be trying to compete with what's his name? Christopher Lee for most movie appearances or major movie appearances. But he has a scene you kind of introduce a bit where he turns into like a superpowered monster for quickly before Heather just kind of rips her amulet off him and he turns to dust, whatever. But the other thing, and this is really important because the ending is very, very tricky if you miss this one little tiny line of dialogue, is Pyramid Head. Pyramid Head kind of comes and fights to save Heather in the end because it's revealed that, at least in this function of the games, Pyramid Head is the protector of Alyssa. And that's what it's explained what he is. In Silent Hill 2, it's well known, everyone talks about it, it's that it's a projection of the main character's own self-hate a bit. And if they had maybe done something where, as it turns out, like the protector is actually a projection of Alyssa's father that we're never shown before. Maybe her father was the one that generally tried to protect her early on from being part of the whole cult ceremony. You could have done something like that, and it would have been okay. That makes some more sense. That they could have done something like that to explain why he would come to save Alessa, because at one point Heather and Alessa rejoin, and as scary as like the little girl with the dark hair and the pale skin is, they then show her like Heather's actress Adelaide Clemens. She does like the same look, but she just looks goth. So instead of looking spooky and unnatural, you're just like, yeah, I see like someone like that every day at the mall. Not that unusual now. They probably should have stuck more with like an old style dress of some sort that was like black. It would have probably worked a little bit better. But they do that, and that she combines, so of course that would explain why Pyramid Head would come to protect him after they make Claudia become the new villain, or she turns into some monster, and they fight, and therefore the main characters are not doing anything for the final plot or for the final act. The main ending action is this between Pyramid Head, a creature which we see once before. You see him in one scene before. He gets a lot more screen time in the original Silent Hill movie. And on their drive over, she's like looking through her father's old notebooks, and there's a one quick line. She goes, "Oh, and this is Pyramid Head. This is," or she doesn't even say the name. I think she just says, "And this is Alyssa's protector." Next page. Like it's that fast. So if you're not paying attention at that one little scene, all of a sudden things don't make as much sense. And this is not the type of movie that kind of earns that you have to pay attention every second type of feel. So it's kind of a cheap shot, and it still would have worked a lot better if you got rid of a lot of that crap at the beginning, got them to Silent Hill more, worked out. I mean, they do show like they have what might have been the first hints that when you first see uh, Pyramid Head show up, he is kind of Alyssa's being, or not Alyssa, Heather's being attacked in an asylum. There's crazy people, and they're grabbing her arms to these cages, like, won't somebody please come and help? And all of a sudden, Pyramid Head kind of shows up and starts cutting their arms off. But the way it's kind of shown in there is that it looks like it's just another scene of horror, and that she almost has to hide from Pyramid Head as well. And if they had like another, they could have kept that scene in, and if they had more time in Silent Hill, they could have added another scene where she get a little bit more sense that Pyramid Head is coming always to protect her when she's in her most dire and she asks for help. That Pyramid Head shows up to save the day. Dun dun. And so we get that one scene. So for a lot of people that are not familiar with the games at all, if you're going, like, if you thought the first movie was fairly good and you're going to see this, all of a sudden that becomes, why is he showing up? Why is that random monster showing up to protect her? I know this doesn't make any sense, especially if you didn't catch that quick little jib that they go, oh, and that's the protector. So, negative points there. There's also really, really bad performances in this movie. There's a real lack of emotion through a lot of the actors and actresses, especially Sean Bean and Radha Mitchell, who played Rhodes De Silva in the first movie. She's back for a quick cameo in this one, and she's really just like, Harry, you've got to protect our daughter. Only one of us can come. And Sean Bean is shooting back with just the same blase. Rose, I love you. I'll protect her. Come back home, Rose. I can't. Why? 'Cause I found a seal. It can only do one of us. So I chose her. Keep her safe. I will, Rose. That's pretty much how that's pretty much how their conversation goes, almost line for line, with the same tone. So you can see kind of why it's needs some improvement. And there's no outstanding actress. I mean, Adelaide does a decent enough performance. I think she does alright a job. She does a decent enough job. You kind of believe she's kind of scary. You can believe when she's pissed off, when she's like determined to do something. Although if she's supposed to be the innocence of us, I would have liked it if she was a little bit more upbeat. I think they try to show hints of that she, underneath, the circumstances have dragged her down, but underneath she's a very cheerful person. I think if they had done a little bit more when she was just with her father, she was very peppy and happy, and it would have worked a little bit better for what she's supposed to be. But I think at this point I'm dragging. Again, it's very good, although I don't think the visual effects are as good as, well, I was about to say that, and then I remember, because I was about to say this because there's a mannequin monster. But I remember the little baby creatures that walked around all weird in the first movie, they kind of had the same level CGI, if I remember correctly. So it's about the same. Let's see, is there anything else I want to wrap up before we talked about the visuals? Very similar. It's always the strongest suit for these movies, is because on film there's nothing else that quite matches up. I think that's it. There's one thing I suppose we could add with the setting up for a third movie, which I do know is similar to one of the games. Don't ask me which one. But as Heather and Vincent leave the town and Sean Bean decides to stay, spoiler, He's gonna stay to save Rose. And at first, I was thinking, okay, are they gonna give Sean Bean the third movie? Like, is that his reward for coming back for this ship? It's like, we'll get third movie. We'll make it. You'll be the main character. Another starring role, Sean. Come on, Sharp. Which I thought, like, okay, I can buy that. You've got two characters lost in the world of Silent Hill. Sean Bean's gonna try to save her, but then, as they're leaving, they Heather and Vincent, they get a truck that stops by, picks them up, lets them get. Goes, oh yeah, where are you going? Just get us away from here. Okay. Drive off, and then on the other direction, you see a prison convoy. You got the, you got like a police car in front. There's a prison truck or a prison bus, and other two police cars behind it, driving on by, and they drive past the sign that says "Welcome to Silent Hill," and it starts getting all foggy again, and you go going ah. But again, it doesn't work as well because in the games it's quite clear that the town draws disturbed souls to it. There's something about the town itself that is what creates all these layers of hellish worlds. Even Malcolm McDowell, they go, my father's in Silent Hill. He's like, well, which one? There's so many. But in the movies, it's more indicated that everything with Silent Hill is created because of Alessa. And Alessa, when she recombines with Heather, they leave the town. And as Heather leaves, the ash starts to go away and all that stuff. Symbolizing that, the reign has ended. Now, if it was more just that the town was like, well, we've had your fun, Alessa. You can go now, type deal. That's one thing. You can beat Silent Hill, I suppose. Your character can beat Silent Hill. But since it's all about this cult and the particular circumstances, from a movie perspective, if they do a third one like this, where it's the town's what draws people in, I don't think it's going to work as well. We'll see if they even do this. From what I heard, the box office receipts are in for the first, at least for the weekend here, even though I guess it's just for Friday, actually. Apparently Argo has come out on #1 for Friday. I'm, of course, seeing this on Saturday. I'm recording this on Saturday. It'll probably be posted up on Sunday. So I don't know if we'll even see a third one, especially with how bad this is. I know I'm forgetting one thing. Oh well. Other side notes. I know I promised a few things doing kind of a series of horror movie reviews. I've been having some computer problems which are kind of preventing me from doing those. I've got files that are disappearing from my external drive where I normally keep all my video files. And out of nowhere, the entire video folder disappeared. No idea where to find it. I checked, recycling bin. I'm searching within, in the search bar or in the search option in my computer, trying to search every drive I can think of. It's just really weird. Now I've got to do, and now because that's really weird, I've got to do a full virus scan. Do a full virus scan, maybe a second virus scan, find up some sort of tune-up utility, see if I can recover that information anywhere. So that's really put a big damper in that. I've been able to. I also was putting together a video trailer reaction for Iron Man 3. The video file, of course, has disappeared, but I believe I found the photos or the screen captures I was going to use and the original audio, so that's a matter of re-editing that. So that's really put on top of all that. As some of you that follow me know, I am from the Jersey Shore. I'm recording this on October 28th. No, 27th. A couple minutes, it'll be 28th. And we have what people are calling the storm of the century coming down on us. I literally live a couple blocks from the bay, which means we've already had the barrier islands, including Seaside Heights. I know tomorrow evening there's mandatory evacuation, and there's already talk that a lot of the areas close to the waterfront are going to be mandatory evacuation. So I might have to leave my home. I might not be around for doing recordings. Plus, on all that, if this storm is half as bad as they're saying, I'm going to lose power because they're horrible with cutting the lines around trees. So even though we've been responsible and removed trees and branches that are near our power lines, I can go up the street. Not the case. If I go up the street further, it's not the case. If I go down to the corner, it's not the case. There's so many opportunities to lose power in this area that I know we're going to be out of power. I can only hope that like somebody from the power company lives down the road a bit so they make sure everything's fixed up to that point. So I'm just kind of canceling those horror movie reviews. And the Resident Evil 6 review. I mean, I finished parts of Resident Evil 6. I think I had enough to do a recording. I was going to do a little bit more, but now I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to finish Chris's campaign. Just because I might be out of power for several days. And who knows, depending on the storm surge, I might be in Aqualand for a couple days. So, so much fun. So Halloween's been a little weird this weekend with all these things. Between the computer crapping out and all that, the reviews are thrown up. But I decided to get this done, put out. I never said officially this. If you follow me, you know if I generally recommend a movie or not. And more often than not, I will recommend movies. I've recommended movies that I even will agree are kind of bad. I can't recommend Silent Hill Revelation. If you're a hardcore Silent Hill fan, you're going to go see it. It's worth checking out the bitch. I've actually heard from a few of hardcore Silent Hill fans that they see a lot of references to the games, but it's like they're missing the point. Like putting a small like little thing from a puzzle in the background is this one thing, but dude, you're missing the point. I can't recommend this one. I would say go see. I saw this instead of Cloud Atlas because I wanted something more Halloween themed. And timing-wise, Cloud Atlas is a long movie. And by the time I was going to the theaters, I was like, I want to get home at least in time for dinner. I might try to catch Cloud Atlas later in the week, assuming that we have power here and the theater is not washed out to sea. But if not, I haven't seen Paranormal Activity 4 yet either. That might be worth checking out more than Silent Hill Revelations, if only because I've heard only mixed reviews. Some people liked Silent Hill, not Silent Hill. People like Silent Hill, but people have actually liked Paranormal Activity 4. Some people really hate it. Some people enjoyed it. I would give that one a shot before going to see this. Real quick, trailers that I saw. This is like the first movie I've been to actually in a while that I've seen brand new trailers, and almost all of them were trailers I had not seen. I've seen Mama before, the trailer for that, which looks, we'll see, might be stupid, probably stupid. A couple horror movie trailers. The one that looks most interesting would be is Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, which takes the ideal that after Hansel and Gretel's early childhood adventure that we all know as a legend, the famous fairy tale, they kind of decide to keep on killing witches. And now it picks up with them as adults, and they're professional witch hunters, and they've got all... It's very Van Helsing-like, which could be a good or it could be a bad thing. But it's got Jeremy Renner as Hansel, and I forget her name, but she was in Clash of the Titans. She was like that god-like creature that Perseus fell in love with, and which they killed off, thankfully, for the second one because Perseus was to get with Andromeda. But enough of that. So they had that, and that might be really good. That might be fun if you kind of look at it as almost like a let's just have fun movie type of way. That might be a good one to check out. I say that as a guy who actually really likes B movies, who enjoys the hell, has got cheesy B movies in my collection. You know, not too many other people are gonna have. You know, I'm looking over here at Bloodsport 2, American Ninja 5, Las Vegas Warrior. Yeah, I was just reading those. I've got some cheesy movies, so I can enjoy that. But we'll see how it goes. It could also fail miserably. So I think that's enough updates. You know, be warned if you guys don't see me for a while, because it might mean I'm in Waterworld. Alright, stay safe out there. Have a happy Halloween. Bye bye. Signing off.